Stop. Before you scroll. Take one deep breath, because what you're about to hear is not an ordinary story. Imagine that, just for a moment, someone you loved with all your heart, someone who is no longer in this world, had one final chance to speak to you. Just one. What would they say? Would they talk about money? Success? Regrets? Or would they reveal something they never had the chance to tell you? Stay until the end. Because the final message changes everything. And maybe, just maybe, it will make you look at your own life differently from this day forward. Close your eyes for a moment. Picture the face of the person you miss the most. You don't have to say their name. You already know who they are. Remember their smile. Their voice. The way they laughed. The way they called your name. Now imagine. If they could write you one last letter. What would be inside? Not because they returned from heaven. But because love has a way of living beyond memories. Tonight, we're imagining that letter together. Listen carefully. Every word matters. My dear. If you're hearing this, I know your heart still carries my absence. I know there are days when you smile for everyone else, but cry when you're alone. Please. Don't blame yourself anymore. You keep replaying our last conversation. You keep wondering if you could have done something differently. You couldn't. Some things were never yours to control. I never wanted guilt to become the way you remember me. Please. Let it go. Take a moment. Because that sentence alone reaches people who have carried invisible pain for years. Maybe. That's you. But the letter isn't over. Not even close. I've watched you become stronger than you realize. I saw the nights you almost gave up. The mornings you forced yourself to get out of bed. The tears nobody noticed. You thought nobody understood. But every act of kindness. Every time you chose hope instead of bitterness. You honored the love we shared. Here's something surprising. Most people believe the greatest regret after losing someone is not saying, "I love you." But often, the greatest regret is forgetting to keep living. Don't let grief become the end of your story. Make it the reason you treasure every new day. If I could ask one thing from you, it wouldn't be flowers. It wouldn't be tears. It wouldn't even be visits to places we shared. I would ask you to laugh again. Really laugh. Without guilt. Without thinking you're leaving me behind. Because love doesn't disappear when happiness returns. Pause. How many people needed to hear that today? Maybe more than we realize. There is something you've been afraid to do. You already know what it is. You've delayed it. You've questioned yourself. You've waited for the perfect moment. Stop waiting. Life is shorter than anyone believes. Call the person you've been avoiding. Forgive when forgiveness is possible. Apologize when your heart knows you should. Not because tomorrow is guaranteed, but because it isn't. Think about that. How many conversations are postponed every day? Until there are no more chances. Don't let today become another missed opportunity. You've spent so much time wondering if I can still see you. Instead, ask yourself this. Can the people who are still beside you truly see your love? Don't hide it. Say the words. Give the hug. Write the message. Be present. Imagine receiving this reminder exactly when you needed it most. Sometimes, the simplest truths arrive at exactly the right moment. I know you've asked countless times, why did this happen? I don't have every answer. But I know this. Your life still has chapters waiting to be written. Don't stop reading your own story halfway. That line deserves another moment. Because too many people think their best days are already behind them. What if they're not? What if your greatest purpose is still ahead? There will come a day when the sadness softens. At first, you'll feel guilty for smiling. Don't. Smile anyway. Live anyway. Dream anyway. Love anyway. That's not forgetting me. That's honoring everything we hoped for together. Now let me ask you something. If someone you loved wanted only one thing for your future, would they want endless sadness? Or a meaningful life? The answer is obvious. Yet so many people never allow themselves to heal. I have one final request. Please stop measuring your worth by your failures. You are more than your mistakes. More than your fears. More than the voices that told you you weren't enough. I always saw something beautiful inside you. Please. Start seeing it too. Think carefully. When was the last time you spoke to yourself with kindness? If you can't remember, maybe today becomes the beginning. There are people in your life right now who need your kindness. Someone is fighting a battle they never talk about. Someone needs encouragement. Someone needs hope. Be that hope. Imagine if every person listening decided to encourage just one other person today. How different would the world become? Sometimes, the smallest act changes the biggest story. And finally, when you think of me, don't remember only the day I left. Remember how I lived. Remember the lessons. Remember the laughter. Remember the love. Carry that forward. That's how memories become light instead of chains. The letter ends there. But maybe its meaning doesn't. Because whether you've lost someone recently or years ago, love leaves echoes. Not supernatural messages. Not impossible promises. But memories that remind us to live with compassion, gratitude, courage, and hope. If this story made you think of someone you love, take a moment today. Honor their memory by doing one good thing. Call someone. Forgive someone. Help someone. Or simply tell someone, I appreciate you. Because none of us knows how many opportunities remain. And perhaps, the greatest message we can ever receive from those we miss is not to stop living, but to live so fully that their love continues through every choice we make. Thank you for listening. Take care of yourself. And never underestimate the power of love, memory, and the life still waiting for you. But before you leave, there is something else. Something that wasn't written in the letter. Because every goodbye leaves behind one final silence. And inside that silence, there are questions. Questions you've carried for months. Maybe even years. Did they know how much I loved them? Did they forgive me? Were they proud of me? Would they want me to keep going? Those questions don't disappear. They wait. Quietly. Sometimes they appear when you're driving alone. Sometimes when you're looking at an old photograph. Sometimes in the middle of the night. When the entire world is asleep. But your heart isn't. Listen carefully. Because if that person could answer those questions today, perhaps this is what they'd say. My dear, you ask if I knew you loved me. I did. Even on the days when neither of us said the words. Love isn't measured only by conversations. It's measured by every sacrifice. Every hug. Every moment you stayed when you could have walked away. Every prayer you whispered. Every tear you tried to hide. I knew. Please stop doubting that. And yes, I forgave you long before you forgave yourself. You keep carrying moments that should have been left in yesterday. You replay every mistake. Every argument. Every sentence you wish you could take back. But love is bigger than one bad day. Don't let one chapter erase an entire lifetime of love. Take a deep breath. How many people need to hear those words? How many hearts are trapped inside memories that cannot be changed? Maybe this is your reminder. The past can teach you, but it should never become your prison. There is something else I need you to understand. You think you're alone more often than you really are. Look around. There are people quietly cheering for you. People who believe in you. People who would miss you more than you can imagine. Don't isolate yourself. Let others love you. Sometimes pain convinces us that nobody cares. But pain is not always telling the truth. Reach out. Even if it's just one person. One conversation can change the direction of an entire life. I've watched you become afraid of hope. You're scared that if you become happy, life will take it away again. But that's no way to live. Hope isn't the enemy. Fear is. Don't allow yesterday's heartbreak to steal tomorrow's joy. You remember my birthday. You remember the day I left. But remember something else too. Remember how much I believed in you. Remember every time I encouraged you. Remember every dream we talked about. Those dreams didn't disappear with me. Some of them still belong to you. Maybe there's a dream you've abandoned. A business. A book. A career. A relationship. A talent. A purpose. Ask yourself honestly. What have you stopped pursuing because fear became louder than faith? If I could stand beside you for just 1 minute, I wouldn't spend it talking about myself. I'd spend it reminding you that your time is precious. Use it wisely. Don't waste years trying to become someone everyone approves of. Become someone you are proud to be. Think about that. How much of your life has been lived trying to satisfy strangers? And how little has been spent listening to your own heart? You don't need to become perfect. You only need to become honest. Honest with yourself. Honest with your dreams. Honest with your kindness. The world already has enough people pretending. Be real. Real people make mistakes. Real people cry. Real people struggle. And real people keep moving forward. There will come a day when someone needs your story. Not because your life was perfect, but because you survived what almost broke you. Don't hide your scars. They may become someone else's hope. Imagine that. The very pain you've been trying to erase may one day become the reason another person chooses not to give up. My final reminder. Please don't wait for tragedy to appreciate life. Don't wait until someone is gone before telling them they're important. Don't wait until you're older to chase your purpose. Don't wait until tomorrow to become grateful today. Right now. Think of 3 people you love. Have you told them recently? If not, promise yourself you will. Not next week. Not someday. Today. One day. When your own journey is complete. I hope people don't remember only what you achieved. I hope they remember how you made them feel. Did you encourage them? Did you forgive them? Did you lift them when they were falling? That is the legacy worth leaving. Success fades. Possessions fade. Even names are eventually forgotten. But kindness echoes through generations. So don't cry because I'm no longer beside you. Smile because the love we shared gave you strength. Carry that strength into every tomorrow. And whenever you remember me, don't lower your head in sadness. Lift your eyes. Take another step. And keep becoming the person you were always meant to be. Maybe that is the message your heart has been waiting to hear all along. Not a promise of miracles. Not impossible answers. But a reminder that love never asks us to stop living. It asks us to live in a way that honors every beautiful memory we carry. And perhaps the greatest tribute we can offer those we miss is to become the very best version of ourselves. The story isn't over. Not yours. Not yet. So keep going. One step. One day. One act of kindness at a time. Because your next chapter may become the miracle someone else has been praying for. Wait. Don't close this yet. Because there is one final part of this journey. One part that almost everyone overlooks. You have spent so much time remembering the person you lost. But have you ever wondered? What would they want you to remember about yourself? Not your mistakes. Not your failures. Not the moments that still make you feel ashamed. But the person you were always capable of becoming. My dear. If there is one thing I wish I could place inside your heart forever, it is this. Stop underestimating yourself. You have survived days you once believed would destroy you. You have carried burdens that nobody else could see. You have cried tears that no one ever noticed. Yet, you are still here. That is not weakness. That is strength. Think about your own life. There were moments when you believed everything was over. But somehow, you kept going. You may not have felt brave. But courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is choosing to move forward while fear walks beside you. There is something you've forgotten. Do you remember the promises you once made to yourself? The dreams you whispered when no one else was listening? The life you imagined? They're still waiting. Not because life owes you anything, but because hope is never completely lost. Maybe you've convinced yourself it's too late. Too late to change. Too late to begin again. Too late to forgive yourself. But every sunrise proves something powerful. Life specializes in new beginnings. If I could ask you for one gift, it wouldn't be expensive. It wouldn't be impossible. I would simply ask you to wake up tomorrow and choose gratitude before fear. Choose kindness before anger. Choose hope before despair. Because those small choices become the life you leave behind. People often search for extraordinary miracles. Yet some of the greatest miracles happen quietly. A broken relationship that heals. A lonely heart that finds friendship. A discouraged person who decides not to give up. A family that learns to forgive. These moments rarely make headlines. But they change lives forever. I know there are days when you wonder if anyone notices your efforts. They do. Even when they never say it. The child who watches your example. The friend encouraged by your words. The stranger helped by your kindness. Never believe your goodness is wasted. Sometimes the seeds we plant today bloom in gardens we may never see. So never stop planting kindness. There is another truth I want you to hear. Please stop comparing your journey to everyone else's. Some people bloom early. Some bloom later. Some walk quickly. Some walk slowly. But every meaningful journey has its own timing. Comparison steals joy. It whispers that you're behind. That you're not enough. That everyone else has figured life out. But those whispers are often illusions. Everyone is fighting battles you cannot see. When life becomes heavy, don't carry it alone. There is strength in asking for help. There is courage in saying, I need someone. Never confuse silence with strength. Real strength knows when to reach out. Remember this. Even the strongest trees depend on deep roots. Even the brightest stars exist among countless others. No one is meant to carry every burden alone. And now, before this message ends, I want you to make one quiet promise. Not to me. To yourself. Promise that you will stop postponing your happiness. Promise that you will forgive yourself a little more. Promise that you will love the people who are still here while you still can. Promise that you will keep becoming wiser, kinder, more patient, and more grateful. Imagine looking back years from now. What story do you want your life to tell? Not how much you owned. Not how famous you became. But how deeply you loved. How faithfully you stood by others. How often you chose compassion over pride. That is a life worth remembering. My dear, you don't honor me by remaining trapped in yesterday. You honor me by living fully today. When you smile, smile without guilt. When you laugh, laugh without fear. When new opportunities come, don't reject them because you're afraid of losing again. Life is always moving forward. Walk with it. One day, every one of us will become someone's memory. The question is not whether that day will come. The question is, what kind of memory are we creating today? Will people remember our anger? Or our kindness? Our pride? Or our generosity? Our complaints? Or the hope we gave them? As you finish listening, take one final moment. Think of the person whose memory brought you here. Instead of focusing only on the pain of losing them, remember one lesson they taught you. Carry that lesson into tomorrow. Then into the next day. And the next. Because love is not measured by how long someone stayed. It is measured by how deeply they changed the way we live. Thank you for staying until the end of this journey. May the memories you cherish inspire gratitude instead of regret. May your future be guided by hope instead of fear. And may you never forget. The greatest way to honor those we love is to become a source of love, courage, and kindness for those who are still with us. This chapter ends here. But your story is still being written. Before this journey comes to its final destination, there is one last conversation. Not between you and me, but between your heart and the memories you have been carrying for so long. Stay with me, because this may be the most important part of everything you've heard so far. My dear, there is something I have watched you do over and over again. You revisit the past, searching for answers that no longer exist. You replay old moments, hoping they will somehow change. But the past is like a photograph. You can hold it. You can treasure it. But you cannot step back inside it. Please, stop punishing yourself for what cannot be undone. Think about that. How many hours? How many sleepless nights? How many tears have been spent fighting battles that ended years ago? What if today you decided to put that weight down? Not because it never mattered, but because your heart deserves peace. You have asked so many times, why did this happen? Maybe you will never know every answer. But don't let unanswered questions stop you from living a meaningful life. Some mysteries remain mysteries. Yet life continues inviting you forward. There are moments when healing doesn't come through finding every answer. Sometimes healing begins when we accept that not every question has one. I know there are days when the silence feels unbearable. You wish you could hear my voice one more time. You wish you could ask just one more question. You wish you could say one last goodbye. If only life worked that way. But listen carefully. Every time you choose kindness over anger, every time you choose forgiveness over resentment, every time you choose hope over despair, you are already carrying forward everything beautiful we shared. Love is not kept alive by holding on to pain. Love is kept alive by becoming the kind of person that love helped create. Do you remember how often we laughed? Not because life was perfect, but because we chose joy anyway. Please don't forget that lesson. Don't wait for perfect circumstances before allowing yourself to smile. Joy isn't the reward for a perfect life. Sometimes, joy is what gives you the strength to survive an imperfect one. There is someone listening right now who hasn't smiled in a very long time. If that's you, know this. No season lasts forever. The longest night still ends with sunrise. I also need you to stop believing that your best days are behind you. No. There are friendships you haven't made yet. Places you haven't visited. Dreams you haven't discovered. People who will love you for exactly who you are. Don't close the book while there are still unwritten chapters. Imagine if 1 year from today, you looked back at this moment and realized, this was the day everything started changing. Not because your problems disappeared, but because your perspective did. There is one final gift I want to leave you. Not something you can hold. Not something you can buy. A question. Every morning when you wake up, ask yourself, if today became one of my final days, would I be proud of the way I treated others? If the answer is no, change something. Immediately. Don't wait. That single question has the power to transform an ordinary life into an extraordinary one. My dear, please don't spend your future chasing things that cannot love you back. Money has its place. Success has its place. Recognition has its place. But never allow those things to replace the people who truly matter. One genuine conversation. One shared meal. One sincere hug can become a memory worth more than years of achievement. One day, you won't remember every paycheck. You won't remember every purchase. But you will remember how people made you feel. And they will remember how you made them feel. That is your real legacy. So before you leave today, promise yourself one thing. Protect your heart from bitterness. Protect your mind from hopelessness. Protect your words from unnecessary cruelty. And protect your time. Because once today is gone, it never returns. The clock never asks permission before moving forward. Neither should you. Take the lesson. Carry the love. Release the guilt. And keep walking. As this message reaches its final moments, close your eyes one last time. Picture the person whose memory brought you here. Don't imagine their final goodbye. Imagine their brightest smile. Imagine the happiest memory you shared together. Hold that memory close. Not as a chain that keeps you trapped, but as a light that helps guide your path. Because memories were never meant to stop us from living. They were meant to remind us why life is precious. And if your heart still whispers, "I miss you," let that whisper become something beautiful. Let it become patience. Let it become gratitude. Let it become compassion. Let it become the reason you love more deeply than ever before. This message now comes to its end. But your journey does not. Tomorrow is another page. Next week is another chapter. And the life ahead of you still holds moments that can surprise you, strengthen you, and fill your heart with meaning. Walk toward them. With courage. With hope. And with the kind of love that never fades through the lives it touches. Thank you for listening. And remember, the greatest tribute to those we miss is not to remain in yesterday. It is to live today with a heart that reflects the love they left behind.